The windshield wipers move in their gentle rhythm, sweeping away droplets of rain that catch the amber glow of passing streetlights. Inside the car, warmth hums softly from the vents, creating a cocoon of comfort against the cool evening air outside. The sound of the wipers is hypnotic, a steady, reassuring pulse that fills the quiet space where everyone else has surrendered to sleep. Fine grains of sand are scattered across the floor mats, remnants of days spent on sun-warmed beaches. The scent of sunscreen still lingers faintly in the upholstery, mixed with the subtle smell of salt air that clings to towels folded in the trunk and jackets draped over the back seats. These are the small souvenirs of vacation, the traces of laughter and ocean waves that have traveled home with them. In the passenger seat, his wife sleeps peacefully, her head resting against a rolled-up sweater pressed between her cheek and the window. Her breathing is slow and even, barely audible beneath the soft hum of the engine and the rhythmic whisper of tires on wet pavement. In the back seat, two children dream. His son curled against his seatbelt with a stuffed whale clutched in his arms, his daughter with her head tilted back, her mouth slightly open in the complete abandonment of childhood sleep. Marcus drives through the deepening twilight, with a gentle smile touching the corners of his mouth. His hands rest lightly on the steering wheel, confident and relaxed. The car moves forward through the rain-softened evening, carrying this small world of sleeping family members toward the welcoming arms of home. Let us travel these final miles together, along roads that grow more familiar with each passing moment, toward the deep comfort of arrival and the peace of being home. Find a comfortable place, close your eyes if you wish, and let yourself settle into this gentle journey. The story we are about to share is one of simple contentment, of the profound satisfaction found in returning to where you belong. If you would like to visit our quiet collection of peaceful tales again, a gentle tap on the subscribe button will ensure a new story is always waiting to welcome you home. And now, let us continue down this rain-softened road, where every mile brings us closer to rest. The highway stretches ahead, a ribbon of dark asphalt gleaming with moisture, reflecting the lights of other travelers making their own ways home through the evening. But inside this car, time moves differently, slower, softer, measured by the steady breathing of sleepers and the patient turning of wheels. Marcus is a watcher in these hours, a guardian of this moving sanctuary. He does not think of himself as anything remarkable, just a father, just a husband, guiding his family safely through the twilight. But there is something sacred in this role, something that fills him with quiet purpose as he monitors the road ahead and the precious cargo of dreams behind him. Without waking anyone, he reaches out and adjusts the temperature slightly, noticing that the car has grown warm. His fingers move to the controls with practiced ease, lowering the heat just enough to maintain perfect comfort. The air that flows from the vents becomes gentler, a whisper rather than a breath. His eyes flicker to the rearview mirror, checking on the children. His son has shifted in sleep, the stuffed whale now resting on his lap, small fingers still wrapped around one fabric fin. His daughter has turned her face toward the window, where the passing lights paint gentle patterns across her closed eyelids. Both are deeply asleep, wrapped in dreams that he will never know but hopes are peaceful and sweet. He glances at his wife, noting the gentle rise and fall of her shoulders, the relaxed curve of her lips. She worked hard on this vacation, as she works hard in all things, and sleep has softened the small lines of concentration that sometimes appear between her eyebrows. Seeing her at rest brings him a particular kind of contentment, a warmth that has nothing to do with the car's heater. Marcus returns his attention to the road, his hands steady on the wheel, and allows himself to sink fully into this moment of guardianship and peace. The world outside continues its motion. Other vehicles pass, traveling in opposite directions with their own stories and destinations, but inside this small space, everything is exactly as it should be. The landscape begins to change as they leave behind the coastal regions where they spent their vacation. The flat expanses of salt marsh give way to gentle hills, and the trees that line the highway grow taller and more closely spaced. The quality of the twilight shifts, becoming deeper and more velvety as the last traces of sunset fade completely from the western horizon. The rain has diminished to the finest mist, barely enough to require the wipers, but Marcus leaves them on their slowest setting. The intermittent sweep of rubber across glass becomes another element of the car's symphony of small sounds. The soft hum of the engine, the gentle whoosh of the heater, the quiet breathing of sleepers, and now this rhythmic clearing of vision that punctuates the journey. The tires sing their own song against the wet pavement, a continuous susurration that rises and falls as they pass over different surfaces, smoother here where the road has been recently repaved, slightly rougher there where age has textured the asphalt. Marcus knows these changes without conscious thought, his body responding to subtle shifts in vibration and sound with tiny adjustments to his grip and posture. The dashboard glows softly in the darkness, displaying information he barely needs to glance at. He knows the car has plenty of fuel. He knows the speed without looking at the speedometer, feeling it in the rhythm of the engine and the pace at which landmarks slip past. He knows the temperature outside has dropped with the coming of night, watching his breath begin to show faintly when he cracked the window earlier for fresh air. A sign appears in the headlights, announcing the distance to the next town, a place he has passed through countless times on this route. 30 miles. Less than an hour now, perhaps a bit more depending on traffic, which remains light on this weeknight evening. The knowledge that home draws near brings a subtle shift in his awareness, a gentle anticipation that warms him from within. He notices the landmarks that mark this transition, a certain hill with a communications tower blinking red at its summit, a bend in the road where the highway curves around an old stone wall, the quality of darkness that signals the end of open country and the beginning of settled land. Each is familiar, each is welcome, each is another milestone on the path toward arrival. The highway carries them through landscapes painted in shades of blue and grey and deepest violet. On either side of the road, fields stretch away into darkness, their boundaries marked by lines of trees that stand like patient sentinels in the night. Here and there, farmhouse lights glow warm and golden, small beacons of human habitation scattered across the rural expanse. Marcus watches these distant lights with a sense of kinship. Other families are settling in for the evening, perhaps finishing dinner, perhaps already preparing for bed, perhaps sitting together in comfortable silence as the day winds down. Each light represents a home, a sanctuary, a place where people belong. Soon he will guide his own family to their own warm light, their own sanctuary. The silhouettes of trees against the darkening sky create patterns that shift and flow as the car moves forward. Oaks and maples, their summer leaves full and heavy, form dark masses against the luminous violet of the horizon where the last memory of daylight lingers. Between the trees, gaps reveal glimpses of open sky where the first stars have begun to appear, scattered diamonds on deep blue velvet. The road itself seems to breathe beneath the wheels, rising and falling in gentle undulations that Marcus navigates with unconscious ease. His body remembers every curve, every slight grade, every place where the pavement dips or rises. His hands on the steering wheel move with the grace of long practice, guiding the car through each bend with minimal effort, allowing the vehicle to flow along its familiar path like water following a well-worn channel. Inside the car, the warmth has reached perfect equilibrium. Not too hot, not too cool, but exactly right for sleeping. The heater's gentle whisper has become part of the background music of travel, as familiar and comforting as a lullaby. Against the window glass, Marcus can feel the slight coolness that radiates from outside, a reminder of the rain-washed night beyond their mobile haven. His son shifts in sleep, making a small sound, not quite a word, not quite a sigh, and then settles again, the stuffed whale clutched close. Marcus catches this sound in the rear-view mirror, so to speak, seeing the slight movement and then the return to stillness. His heart swells with the particular tenderness that comes with watching children sleep, seeing them so vulnerable and trusting and at peace. The rain has stopped completely now, leaving only the sheen of water on the road surface, reflecting the amber glow of streetlights and the white beams of the car's headlights. The windshield wipers make one final sweep, and then Marcus turns them off, leaving only the faint sound of tires on wet pavement and the steady hum of the engine. More landmarks appear and slide past, a bridge over a small river where he once stopped to let the children watch ducks, a rest area with picnic tables that look ghostly and abandoned in the darkness, a stretch of road lined with old maples whose branches meet overhead to form a living tunnel. Each one is noted, recognized, welcomed as another step closer to home. The sky continues to deepen, the violet fading to indigo and then to the rich blue-black of true night. Stars multiply overhead, though Marcus can see only fragments of them between the trees and clouds. The moon has not yet risen, or perhaps it rose while they were still far away, and now hangs somewhere behind them, following their journey westward. Traffic remains sparse, an occasional vehicle passing in the opposite direction, its headlights flaring briefly and then fading, leaving ghost images on Marcus's retinas. A truck rumbles past, heading east with a load bound for some distant destination, but mostly the road belongs to them, this family making their way home through the peaceful night. The meditation of driving settles over Marcus like a comfortable blanket. His mind does not race or worry or plan. Instead, it rests in the simple present moment. The feel of the wheel beneath his hands, the view of the road ahead, the sound of his family breathing in sleep, the knowledge that each second brings them closer to arrival. There is nowhere else he needs to be, nothing else he needs to do except exactly this, guide them safely home. Fields give way to scattered houses, then to closer clusters of buildings as they approach a small town. Streetlights appear more frequently, their amber glow creating pools of illumination along the roadside. A traffic light ahead turns red, and Marcus brings the car to a gentle stop, so smooth that none of his sleeping passengers stir. In the stillness of waiting, he becomes aware of other small sounds, the tick of the cooling engine, the faint creak of the car's body settling, the almost imperceptible sound of his own breathing. Outside the window, a moth flutters against the streetlight, drawn to the warm glow. A cat crosses the empty street with liquid grace, pausing to look at the car with eyes that reflect green in the headlights before continuing on its nocturnal rounds. The light changes to green, and Marcus eases the car forward again, passing through the quiet town center. A few shops with dark windows, a diner with yellow light spilling onto the sidewalk, a church with a tall steeple outlined against the stars. Then they are through and back into the darkness between settlements, the road unspooling ahead of them like a ribbon leading home. His wife sighs in her sleep and shifts slightly, finding a more comfortable position against her makeshift pillow. Her hand, which had been resting on her lap, now lies palm up on the center console between them, an unconscious gesture that Marcus finds touching. He would take that hand in his own if he did not need both hands for driving, would give it a gentle squeeze of affection and reassurance. The highway begins to show signs of greater civilization. More lights, more frequent exits, the occasional illuminated sign for gas stations or restaurants or hotels. They are entering the outer edges of the metropolitan area where they live, though still many miles from their own neighborhood. The transition is gradual, almost imperceptible, but Marcus feels it in the character of the road and the density of development. More vehicles share the highway now, though traffic is still light by daytime standards. Marcus maintains his steady pace, neither rushing nor dawdling, simply moving forward with patient purpose. The other drivers are shadows to him, anonymous fellow travelers in the night, each on their own journey toward their own destinations. He passes an exit he has taken many times on other trips, the route to his wife's sister's house where they sometimes spend holidays. Tonight, they continue past. Another exit appears, the way to his children's school, though from this direction it would take them on a winding path they never use. They pass that one too. Each exit not taken is another confirmation that they are headed exactly where they belong. The highway curves and suddenly there it is, the skyline of their city, small and modest compared to the great metropolitan centers, but beautiful to Marcus in this moment. The buildings are not tall, just a handful of structures rising above the general landscape, their windows lit here and there with the lights of late workers or cleaning crews. But he knows those buildings, knows the streets between them, knows that beyond them lie the neighborhoods where real life happens, including his own. A warmth spreads through his chest, not the warmth of the car's heater, but something deeper and more profound. Recognition, belonging, the feeling of approaching home after time away. It is one of life's most fundamental pleasures, this homecoming, and Marcus savors it fully. He takes the exit that leads toward their part of the city, the ramp curving down and away from the highway. The car descends smoothly, following the familiar path that he has driven thousands of times. At the bottom of the ramp, a traffic light glows red, and he stops, waiting for the change. From here, he can see the corner store where he sometimes picks up milk or bread on the way home from work, its yellow sign bright, even at this hour, promising provisions and convenience. Beyond it, the street leads into a neighborhood of small businesses and older apartment buildings, a transition zone between the commercial district and the residential areas. The light changes and he turns, following the route that his hands and feet know by heart. Left here, then straight for several blocks, then right at the intersection with the hardware store. Each turn brings them deeper into familiar territory, past landmarks that speak of daily life. The park where his children play on weekend afternoons, the library where they check out picture books, the school where his daughter learned to read. The streetlights here are different from the highway lights, casting a softer, more intimate glow. They illuminate trees planted along the sidewalks, maples and oaks that have grown for decades, their branches arching over the street to create a canopy that seems to welcome them. In spring, these trees bloom with spectacular color. In autumn, they blaze with fire. Tonight, in the fullness of summer, they are simply green and lush and beautiful in their ordinary way. Houses line both sides of the street now, each one dark or dimly lit, their occupants already settled for the night. Some have porch lights glowing, small beacons of hospitality, even in the late hours. Others are completely dark, their residents long since asleep. Marcus knows some of these houses, though not all. He recognizes the home of his daughter's best friend, the house where an elderly neighbor lives who always waves when she sees them passing. He turns onto another street, and then another, each turn bringing them closer. His heart rate increases slightly, not with anxiety but with anticipation, with the approaching culmination of the journey. They are almost there now, almost home. And then there it is, his own street, the one where he lives, where he has lived for years, where he hopes to live for many more. The trees here are particularly large and old, planted perhaps 50 years ago or more, forming a tunnel of leaves overhead. The streetlights create pools of amber warmth at regular intervals, and between them the darkness is soft and welcoming. He slows the car, wanting to savor these final moments. There, 3 houses down on the left, is their home. He can see it now, the familiar shape of the roof, the front porch with its 2 pillars, the small garden where his wife grows herbs and flowers. A single light glows in the front window, left on by the timer they set before leaving, a small welcome to themselves. Gratitude washes over Marcus in a wave so powerful it nearly brings tears to his eyes. Gratitude for the vacation now ending, for the days of sunshine and laughter, for the memories created, for the time together as a family. Gratitude for the safe journey, for good weather and reliable vehicles and clear roads, but most of all gratitude for this, the gift of having a home to return to, a place that belongs to them and where they belong, a sanctuary waiting with patient welcome. He guides the car toward the driveway, feeling the transition from smooth pavement to the slightly rougher surface of their own property. The gravel crunches beneath the tires, a sound he has heard 1,000 times, but which tonight seems particularly meaningful, the sound of arrival, of completion, of home. Marcus brings the car to a gentle stop, positioning it carefully in its usual spot beside the house. For a moment he does nothing except sit in the driver's seat, his hands still resting on the wheel, breathing in the reality of arrival. They are home. The journey is complete. Everything is exactly as it should be. Through the windshield, he can see the front door of their house painted a dark green that looks almost black in the low light. He knows every scratch on that door, every small imperfection in the paint. He knows how the key turns in the lock, how the door sometimes sticks slightly in humid weather, how it swings open with a familiar creak they have been meaning to oil for months, but somehow never quite get around to addressing. The silence in the car is profound and beautiful. No engine noise now that he has turned off the ignition. No road sounds. Just the gentle breathing of 3 sleeping people and the faint ticking of the engine as it begins to cool. Marcus sits in this silence for a long moment, reluctant to break the spell, wanting to preserve this perfect peace for just a few seconds more. But eventually, practical concerns assert themselves. His family needs to be moved from car to house, from temporary rest to true beds. He needs to unpack at least the essential items tonight, though the full unpacking can wait until tomorrow. They need to transition from travelers to home dwellers, from motion to stillness. Carefully moving with the deliberate gentleness of someone trying not to wake sleeping children, Marcus opens his door. The interior light comes on, and he quickly reaches up to dim it, not wanting to disturb anyone. The cool night air flows into the car, carrying with it the scent of their own garden, lavender plants his wife cultivated along the walkway, the fresh smell of grass that was recently mowed by their neighbor, who kindly keeps an eye on things when they are away, the particular smell of their own place that is unlike anywhere else in the world. He steps out onto the gravel, feeling the stones shift beneath his feet, and stretches briefly, working out the stiffness that comes from hours behind the wheel. The night air feels wonderful after the closed environment of the car, cooler and fresher, filled with the sounds of late evening. Crickets sing in the garden. Somewhere in the distance a dog barks once and then falls silent. Wind rustles through the leaves overhead, a whisper of motion in the otherwise still night. Marcus walks around to the passenger side and carefully opens the door. His wife stirs at the sound, her eyelids fluttering, and then opens her eyes to look at him with drowsy confusion that quickly clears to recognition and relief. "We are home," he whispers, and she smiles. "Already?" she murmurs, though the journey has taken hours. Time has a way of compressing in sleep, making long distances feel like moments. "Already," he confirms, offering his hand to help her out of the car. She stands slowly, working the stiffness from her own limbs, and together they turn their attention to the back seat, where the children continue to sleep with the absolute abandon of youth. Marcus opens the rear door as quietly as possible and leans in to unbuckle his son's seatbelt. The boy barely stirs as Marcus slides his arms beneath him, lifting him with practiced ease, despite his growing weight. His son is not a baby anymore, not even quite a little boy, but in sleep he becomes small again, vulnerable and trusting, and Marcus's heart clenches with love. His wife attends to their daughter, unbuckling her and gathering her into her arms with the same gentle care. The girl's head lolls against her mother's shoulder, and she makes a small sound of protest at being moved, but does not wake. They carry their children toward the house, Marcus fishing in his pocket for the key with one hand while supporting his son with the other. The key finds the lock by feel alone. He has done this so many times that his hand knows exactly where to reach, exactly how much pressure to apply, exactly the right angle to turn. The lock yields with its familiar click, and the door swings open, and they step across the threshold into their own home. The house embraces them immediately with its particular silence, the kind of quiet that exists only in spaces that know their occupants well. There is the faint ticking of the kitchen clock, a sound so familiar that Marcus normally does not even notice it, but which now seems to mark the rhythm of homecoming. There is the subtle creak of floorboards settling, the whisper of air moving through familiar rooms, the sense of walls and ceilings that have witnessed their lives and held their memories. Marcus pauses just inside the doorway, letting his eyes adjust to the dimness. The single lamp they left burning in the living room provides enough light to navigate by, casting a warm glow that makes the familiar furniture look welcoming and soft. The couch where they watch movies together, the bookshelf filled with their collection of stories, the coffee table still holding the magazine his wife was reading before they left on vacation. Everything exactly as they left it, patiently waiting for their return. He moves toward the stairs, his feet finding the familiar path without need for thought. His son has grown heavier in his arms, or perhaps his own muscles are tired from the long day, but Marcus barely notices the weight. This is a burden he would carry any distance, this precious cargo of dreams and childhood trust. The stairs rise before him, each step a known friend. The third step from the bottom creaks slightly. It always has, despite his various attempts to silence it over the years. The banister is smooth under his hand, worn by countless passages up and down. At the top of the stairs, the hallway stretches to left and right, leading to bedrooms where his family sleeps and dreams when they are home. He turns left toward his son's room, nudging the door open with his shoulder. The room smells of little boy and books and the faint mustiness of a space that has been closed up for days. Moonlight, for the moon has finally risen, streams through the window, illuminating the bed with its rumpled covers. They had left in a hurry on the first morning of vacation, too excited to bother with making beds. Marcus lays his son down with infinite care, easing him onto the mattress and arranging him in a comfortable position. The boy sighs and turns his face into the pillow, his own pillow with its familiar smell and shape, and his body relaxes even further into the deeper rest that comes from being in one's own bed. Marcus retrieves the forgotten stuffed whale from where it had tumbled during the transfer and tucks it beside his son, who immediately reaches for it in sleep and pulls it close. For a moment, Marcus simply stands beside the bed, looking down at his sleeping child, feeling the weight of love and responsibility and fierce protectiveness that fatherhood brings. He reaches out and gently smooths the hair back from his son's forehead, a gesture of tenderness and blessing, and then pulls the blanket up to cover him properly. "Sweet dreams," he whispers, though his son cannot hear him, and then he steps out of the room, leaving the door open just a crack in case the boy wakes in the night and calls for them. In the hallway, he meets his wife emerging from their daughter's room. She gives him a small smile and a nod. Their daughter is also settled, also tucked in, also returned to her own bed and her own dreams. Together they stand in the hallway, listening to the silence of the house, to the sound of children breathing in their rooms, to the deep peace of family safely home. Without speaking, they move through the familiar rituals of securing the house for night. Marcus goes back downstairs and locks the front door, checking it twice out of habit. He turns off the living room lamp, plunging the downstairs into darkness, except for the faint glow of the nightlight they keep plugged in near the stairs, a small concession to midnight trips to the bathroom or kitchen. His wife moves through the upstairs rooms, checking windows, adjusting curtains, making small adjustments to ensure comfort and security. These are the small ceremonies of homecoming, the actions that mark the transition from journey to rest, from motion to stillness. They meet again in their own bedroom, the last stop on this long day's journey. The room is dim, lit only by the moonlight that filters through the curtains. Their bed, queen-sized, not large but sufficient, made that same rushed morning before vacation with covers straightened but not properly smoothed, looks like paradise to Marcus in this moment. He begins to undress, placing his clothes on the chair that stands in the corner, another thing to deal with tomorrow, the full unpacking and washing and putting away. For now it is enough to shed the clothes that have traveled with him and let them rest as he is about to rest. His wife moves through her own nighttime routine with the efficiency of long practice, washing her face, brushing her teeth, changing into the soft cotton nightgown that hangs on a hook behind the bathroom door. Marcus follows after, performing his own ablutions quickly, eager now for the final surrender to sleep. When they finally slide between the sheets of their own bed, the sensation is exquisite. The mattress knows their shapes, molding to them with familiar support. The pillows are exactly the right height and firmness, not like hotel pillows which are never quite right, but their own pillows that have cradled their heads for years. The sheets are cool against his skin, fresh and clean smelling, because they changed them before leaving, wanting to return to a perfect bed. The duvet settles over them with a comforting weight, not too heavy but substantial enough to feel like an embrace. Marcus lies on his back, his wife curled on her side facing him, and feels every muscle in his body release tension he did not even know he was holding. "Home," his wife murmurs, the word both statement and prayer. "Home," Marcus echoes and reaches for her hand beneath the covers, giving it a gentle squeeze. The house settles around them with small sounds, the creak of a cooling beam, the rattle of a window in its frame as a breeze rises outside, the distant hum of the refrigerator doing its work in the kitchen below. These are the sounds of their home, as familiar as their own heartbeats, and they speak of safety and belonging and peace. Outside, the night continues its slow progression toward dawn, though dawn is still many hours away. Stars wheel overhead. The moon climbs higher in its arc across the sky. Crickets sing their endless songs. But inside this house, inside this room, inside this bed, time seems to stop, or at least to slow to a crawl, measured only by breathing and the gentle drift towards sleep. Marcus feels himself sliding into that delicious state between waking and dreaming, where thoughts become loose and fluid, where the concerns of the day dissolve like sugar in water. The long drive is over. The vacation is over. Tomorrow will bring laundry and groceries and unpacking and all the small tasks of settling back into daily life. But tomorrow is not now. Now is this perfect moment of arrival, this complete and total peace, this profound satisfaction of being exactly where he belongs. His breathing deepens and slows, matching the rhythm of his wife's breath beside him. Her hand remains in his, their fingers loosely intertwined, a connection maintained even as consciousness begins to fade. He can feel her warmth beside him, hear the gentle sound of her breathing, sense the presence that has shared his life for so many years. The cool sheets gradually warm to body temperature, creating a cocoon of perfect comfort. The duvet's weight becomes less noticeable, as his body accepts it as natural and right. The pillow cradles his head with familiar support, and Marcus allows his neck and shoulders to release completely, trusting the bed to hold him, trusting the house to shelter him, trusting the night to watch over his sleeping family. A final thought drifts through his mind before sleep claims him: gratitude. Pure, simple, profound gratitude for this ordinary miracle of home and family and safety, for the journey completed, for the beds waiting, for the children sleeping peacefully in their rooms, for the woman beside him, for the roof overhead, and the walls around them and the ground beneath them that holds them all. And then even gratitude fades into the warm darkness of sleep, and Marcus surrenders completely, his body sinking deeper into the mattress, his breathing becoming slow and even, his mind releasing its hold on consciousness and drifting into dreams that he will not remember come morning, but which will leave him rested and renewed. The house stands quiet in the moonlight, all its occupants asleep. The only sounds now are the gentle ones of night, the settling of old wood, the whisper of wind in the eaves, the distant call of an owl hunting in the darkness. Inside, 4 people rest in 4 beds, each breathing the slow, deep breaths of peaceful sleep. In his room, the boy dreams of ocean waves and sandcastles, his stuffed whale clutched close. In her room, the girl dreams of seashells and the warm sun on her face. In their room, Marcus and his wife dream their own dreams, separate yet together, their hands still loosely joined beneath the duvet. The moon traces its path across the sky, its light painting silver patterns on the bedroom walls, moving slowly from one side of the room to the other as the hours pass. The crickets continue their song, a lullaby for the sleeping house. The lavender in the garden releases its subtle scent into the night air, carried on gentle breezes that rustle the leaves of the old trees, standing sentinel along the street. Morning will come as it always does. There will be stretching and yawning and the gradual return of consciousness. There will be breakfast to make and laundry to start and suitcases to unpack. There will be stories to tell about the vacation, memories to recall, photographs to sort and save. There will be the return to daily routines, work and school, and all the ordinary business of life. But all of that is for tomorrow. Tonight there is only this, the deep peace of sleep in one's own bed, the profound comfort of being home, the simple and perfect satisfaction of journey's end. Tonight, the long road has brought them exactly where they needed to be, and they rest in the shelter of walls they know, surrounded by the things they love, held safe by the ordinary miracle of home. The house breathes around them, a living thing built of wood and stone and memory. It has stood through many nights, will stand through many more, offering its shelter without judgment or condition. Within its walls, this family sleeps and dreams, restored by the simple act of homecoming, renewed by the ancient magic of return. And so the night deepens and the sleep deepens with it, and all is well. The journey is complete. The family is home. Rest comes easy here, in this place of belonging, in this sanctuary of the familiar, in this haven where love dwells and peace abides. The last light in the house, the small nightlight near the stairs, glows steadily through the hours, a tiny beacon keeping watch while everyone sleeps. It illuminates nothing important, just a small circle of floor and wall, but its presence is a comfort nonetheless, a reminder that even in the darkest hours there is light. Outside, the stars turn in their eternal dance. The moon continues its journey across the sky. The earth turns toward morning, but inside this house time seems to pause, held suspended in the gentle embrace of sleep. Here, in this moment, everything that matters is safe and sound, and exactly where it should be. Peace settles over the household like a benediction, like a blessing, like a gentle hand smoothing covers and tucking in corners. The kind of peace that comes only from being truly home, from resting in familiar spaces, from surrendering to sleep, knowing that all is well. And in his bed, Marcus sleeps deeply, dreamlessly, the sleep of the exhausted and the satisfied, the sleep of the grateful and the blessed. The long road has brought him home, and home has received him, and there is nothing more he needs in this world than what he has in this moment. His family safe, his house secure, his own bed cradling him in comfort. The night watches over them all, gentle and patient, as nights have watched over sleeping families since time began. And in the morning, when the sun rises and fills the rooms with golden light, they will wake refreshed and renewed, ready to embrace a new day. But that is for morning. Tonight, there is only sleep, deep and peaceful and undisturbed. The wind dies down to nothing. The crickets fall silent one by one. The moon reaches its zenith and begins its slow descent toward the western horizon. And in the house on the quiet street, beneath the old trees with their sheltering branches, 4 people sleep on, breathing in perfect synchrony with the night, held safe in the arms of home. And so our story comes to rest, just as Marcus and his family have found their rest. I hope this gentle journey home has brought you some measure of the peace and comfort that comes from belonging, from arriving, from being exactly where you need to be. For those of you still listening in this quiet hour, if this story has served you well, a gentle tap on the like button helps these peaceful tales find others who might need them. And if you would like to return to our collection of calming stories, the subscribe button will ensure that a new journey awaits you whenever you need one. Thank you for allowing me to accompany you on this journey home. May your own rest be deep and peaceful. May your dreams be gentle, and may you wake refreshed and renewed. Sleep well wherever you are. Good night.